Hi, it's Xanthe. We're going to look at some of the paint colours which I've swatched here. I've used artist grade acrylics, so either Italia Interactive or Golden, both in acrylics. It's worthwhile reading the labels to see whether you've got a single pigment or a mixture, if they're transparent, light fast, etc. It's very worthwhile. You can mix a whole bunch of colours from not many, but I like to look at the nuance, hence I have quite a reasonable collection. So if we're looking at this colour model here, basically we've got our colour wheel. So we're looking at red, yellow, green, cyan, blue and magenta, and then if we look the other way, the other direction here, we've got white at one end and black at the other, so we've got lights and darks. So basically I'm just going to flick through the colours without explaining, pointing out exactly where it goes here, but in general, if you think about the axis, it's going from black to white and there's greys in the between, so more muted colours. If you go towards the middle, let's just flick through these ones. So we've got ultramarine blue, PB29, that's glazed with water, mixed with titanium white, mixed with carbon black, so it's an inorganic pigment, and it leans towards violet. So we look at the bias or undertone towards violet, it will affect how different colours mix, such as greens. I've got cobalt turquoise light, PG50, glazed with white with black. It's another inorganic. I can mix a colour similar. This one I've mixed with phthalo blue, white and a touch of yellow. I could have used a touch of green. Cobalt blue, PB28. It's glazed with white and with black. It's another inorganic. I've also compared it with the hue, which is a mixture to approximate it. Phthalo blue, red shade. What that means with our colour model is it's going more towards the violet than it is towards the green. So we've got PB15 straight out of the tube, glazed with white and with black. So it's a copper phthalocyanine, which is like that's the chemistry of the green-blue complexes. So there's a diagram of the chemical structure. Oh, by the way, the paper is like an off-white. Titanium white, in comparison, looks like the edges of this, but we're limited by the artificial lighting that I'm using. So I've got phthalo blue green shade in comparison. So we're leaning more towards the green or the turquoises this way. So PB 15.3, this is often the cyan that's also used in the printing process, CMYK. So we've got glazed, mixed with white, mixed with black, and then I've compared with a colour called primary cyan, which is actually just the same, mixed with white already. Got ultramarine violet, PV15, glazed white and black. This is an inorganic cousin of the ultramarine blue. This is a tricky name to say. Benzimidazolone, I think that's how you say it. Yellow medium. So there's the chemical formula there, or structural formula. We've got same pattern here I'm using all the time. Out of the tube, glazed white, black. It looks a little bit greenish in this case. Now it's an azo because of the chemistry, it's got a double nitrogen bond there. We'll get differences if we mix with the blues that we already looked at, so if we mix with ultramarine blue and then phthalo blue green shade. Generally, if you want a more vibrant green, go for the phthalo family. Light red ochre, it's an earthy pigment, PR101, pigment red 101, glazed white black. So very iron rich, Indian red oxide. It has the same classification, PR 101, but it looks a little different. It looks a little bit more violet, so we've got glaze, white and black. Got Mars Violet, which is also PR 101, still considered to be an earthy red, but it's kind of more violet. So we've got from the tube, water, white and black. Difference in particle size is often the difference, or the heating temperatures. Yellow ochre PY42, it's like a brownish yellow. So we've got from the tube, water, white, black, and in this case I've also just mixed a little with ultramarine blue and a bit of white just to show you can get some greys. Raw sienna dark PBR7, so pigment brown 7. So it's sort of like a little bit darker than the yellow ochre and a little bit more brownish. Tube, water, white and black. I've used the ultramarine blue to show some grey mixes that you can use. Burnt sienna is a PBR7, so pigment brown 7, the same code. So we've got from the tube, water, white and black. And again, I've mixed with ultramarine blue, then titanium white as well, just to show some greys that you can mix. So still iron rich. It's kind of considered to be an earthy red. Raw amber. It's also got the same code, even though it's a different colour, PBR7. So it's considered to be more of a neutral brown. So from the tube, water, white, black. And again the ultramarine blue just to show some of the neutral greys. So we've got iron oxide again, but we've got traces of manganese oxide. Burnt umber, also PBR7. It's a little bit reddish in comparison to the raw, so sort of like a soil brown, reddish kind of colour, but still brown, dark colour. It's also got traces of the manganese oxide. So true water, white and black. So and that's also with the ultramarine blue, just to show some of the greys. Quinacridone magenta is often the magenta used in the printing process, so we've got magenta shown here. They actually mix the red in this model from magenta and yellow. So anyway, we've got PR 122, pigment red 122, so it's classified as a red, sort of like a red violet if you're looking at Minzel. So we've got from the tube, it's quite transparent already, and then with water, with white, and then with black. And I've just done a comparison of one called Brilliant Magenta, which is already just a pre-mixed with white. Then another one I had called Primary Magenta, but it was a PV19, a different brand, and it's actually more of a red. So it's sort of like we were taking, we were just moving more towards the red. Dioxazine purple or violet, PV23 RS, so PV for pigment violet, RS for red shade. So we're looking more between the magenta and the blue. So, but it's a single pigment. So we've got water, white and black. Then I've shown here for comparison quinacridone magenta and ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta and phthalo blue, the green shade, and then with white as well. And then I've also got a purple convenience mixture to show how it's more muted in comparison. So it's got very complicated chemistry there. So we've got phthalo green, blue shade, PG7, tube, water, white and black. We've got very complicated chemistry. So the difference is all these chlorine atoms added on to what would otherwise be phthalo blue. Phthalo green, PG36 yellow shade. So it just looks a little bit more yellow in comparison. So if we've got our phthalo green, it's just going tweaking it a little bit towards the yellow rather than towards the blue. So we've got tube, water, white and black. The chemistry is based on the phthalo blue and the phthalo green blue shade, but we've just swapped out some bromine atoms. Primary magenta was this paint tube name, PV19, but this is the one we've spoken of already, which is red, pretty much. It's like a cool red. It's water. We've got white and black. That's the chemistry there, pretty much. And they've got really long names like that. The quinacridone magenta is actually more of a true magenta than this one. They're quite different. This one's actually the same pigment classification as the last one, PV19, but it's quite a different colour. They've called it quinacridone red violet. It's a different brand. So we've got tube, water, white and black. And the different shades can be crystalline structure, the chemistry. Pearl red. This is a good primary red, I find. PR254. So we've got straight out of the tube and water, white and black. It's a synthetic, organic. That's mixed with ultramarine blue and white, just to show a muted kind of purple. It's the chemical structure. So it's not too orange, so therefore you can get some, reasonable purples. Whereas the cadmium red light scarlet is brighter and leans more towards orange. So we've got PR108, tube, water, white and black. This colour is often used for skin tones. Now, if you mix with ultramarine blue, we get more of a brown, which won't be what you want if you're wanting nice purples. And then that's mixed with white. This is mixing with a cadmium yellow and then white. So the cadmium family are considered to be toxic. They're safe enough to use mixing when they're already mixed in paints, but you don't want to inhale it or drink it or whatever. This is cadmium red medium, PR108, so it's like a medium slightly muted red. So the tube, water and white and black. So it's the same sort of family as the last one we looked at. With ultramarine blue we get this sort of reddish brown, mahogany kind of brown, and then with the white it goes a little bit chalky, so this is the cadmium yellow and white. So it's different proportions of the cadmium selenide, sulfoselenide. Cadmium orange, same family, but it's labelled P020. Tube, water, white and black. So we get these kind of different kind of browns if you mix them with the blue. Some people like to use these for skin tones. Probably depends on what kind of a skin tone. And that's also with the cadmium yellow, medium, and then white. It's got a higher proportion of the cadmium sulfide, which is yellow. So here we go with the cadmium yellow, medium, PY37, yellow, water, tube, water, white and black. You can see that it's a little bit greenish mixed with the black. So we've got ultramarine blue, it's a little bit that kind of olivey green as well, and then we've got white with our phthalo blue green shade. It's a more vibrant kind of a green, and then with white. So often the difference is, I think with mixing greens, deciding whether you want more muted, probably go for ultramarine blue. If you want more vibrant and clearer colour, go for phthalo family. This one was called Titan Buff, or it can be also called unbleached titanium or buff titanium. So basically it's like a soft white sort of greyish colour, so that's out of the tube with water, with extra white, because it's already got white in it, but it's I've added a bit more extra white there, and then with black, sort of like a soft grey, and then I've compared here with the pure titanium white and the carbon black to see how these are more charcoaly greys. This was a golden mixture called Terra Verte, which I tried, which I knew it was going to be, complicated mixture, but I was a bit disappointed with it. It was a mixture of different greens, black and yellow ochre, basically. I've tried it as an underpainting for portraits. So basically tube, water, white and black. Now this is a different Terra Verte, which is by Italia, so this one's a mixture of a brown and a blue. So we've got tube, water, white and black, and this is okay as an add-on mixture for foliage, I find. This is a convenience mixture of purple. It's got ultramarine blue and naphthalene red. So tube, water, white and black. I've compared here just a few mixtures. Of course you'll get different colours depending on proportions. I've got ultramarine blue and pearl red and white, dioxazine purple or violet plus white, ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta and white. But you know, you can lean them different ways depending on proportions. So the purple is muted, Prussian blue hue. We've got PB15, which is phthalo blue red shade, and we've got PR175, which is a red. So it's a convenience mixture. And tube, water, white and black. Oh, the red was benzimidazolone red, which is a reddish brownish colour. This one labelled Brilliant Magenta is a convenience mixture of quinacridone magenta and titanium white, PR122 and PW6, tube, water, white and black, compared to quinacridone magenta, which is darker. So if I had to choose between this one called Brilliant Magenta and quinacridone magenta, which was a single pigment, I would definitely choose this one because it's more versatile, plus it's because it's darker, plus it can be glazed before you mix it with any white. I've also just mixed here with ultramarine blue and white, and with phthalo blue green shade and white. I've got here cobalt blue hue. Usually when they say hue, it means it's a mixture that's sort of to mimic something that already exists. So there is a cobalt blue single pigment as well. But it's, you know, can be more expensive, more toxic. There are different reasons. Now this is a mixture of ultramarine blue, white, and phthalo blue red shade. Now, because it is a mixture, you've got to take into account that if it's got the ultramarine blue, it's probably going to go a bit olivey green with some yellows, etc. So we've got tube, we've got a glaze, we've got white and black. Now, just because it says hue doesn't mean that it's inferior. It's just it just means that it's a mixture, and often there are mixtures which don't even say that they're hues, but they are. We've got this one called primary cyan. It's actually a mixture. It's actually our phthalo blue green shade and white. We've got our tube, water, white and black. If I had to choose between this one, which is already we have white in it, it's the same with the magenta one, I would choose the one that doesn't have premixed white because it's more versatile because you can go darker. This one's called cerulean blue hue. We've got ultramarine blue, we've got our phthalo blue green shade, we've got white, and then we've got PG7, which is our phthalo green blue shade, tube, water, white and black. Now, I don't find that I use these kind of ones very often, but if you were, you know, using lots of skies and using this kind of colour, for example, you might find it kind of handy. Right, Indian yellow. So this is a mixture of one of the yellows, PY73, plus a red, PR101, which is one of the earthy reds. So in this case for the yellows, I'm going to also mix with ultramarine blue plus white and phthalo blue green shade and white, just to show the difference when we go through. So generally, if you want a more kind of olivey kind of green, go for the ultramarine blue. If you want a more clearer, bluishy, turquoisey kind of green, go for the phthalo family. So we've got tube, it's already quite transparent, water, white and black. I don't tend to use this one very often. Acrylic yellow deep, it's got white and PY65 yellow. So we've got tube, water, white, black, ultramarine blue, and our phthalo blue. And you see that's not a colour that appeals to me very much. This one's called transparent yellow, PY73. So it looks almost much the same, you know, when you've got tube, it's already transparent, water, white, black. You can see a little bit of greenish there. Ultramarine blue, white, phthalo blue, white mixtures. This one's called primary yellow, but it's actually a mixture of 2 yellows and white already. So don't just believe the name that says primary. Look at the ingredients. So we've got a yellow, water, white, and black, a little bit greenish in our black there, a little bit olive green. We've got ultramarine blue, we've got the phthalo blue. I would tend to use this one more, acrylic yellow light, which is also a mixture with white. So it's also got PY74LF. LF stands for light past. So we've got tube, water, white and black. It looks a bit greenish there. And ultramarine blue and our phthalo blue mixtures. Phthalo turquoise is a mixture of our PB 15.3 and PG7, so that's our phthalo blue green shade and our phthalo green blue shade. So, tube, water, white and black. So it's quite transparent, straight out of the tube and quite dark, but you can use it for glazes, but then when you add white it makes it more opaque. This one is called Payne's Grey. It's a mixture of PB 29 ultramarine blue and PBK7 pigment blacks. So it's tube, water, white, black. Of course you can mix your own greys. But you know, it can be a handy darker convenience mix if you don't want to go completely to black. And transparent red oxide PR101. It's related to the family of earthy pigments. It's related to the family of earthy pigments that we saw before, but it's transparent. So PR101. That's straight out of the tube. Water mixed with white. It starts to make it more opaque and chalky like. Mixed with black.